St. John's, Kentucky, Saturday afternoon, 12:30 Eastern on CBS in the CBS Sports Classic is a swing game for both. There were good vibes for Kentucky after last Saturday's win over Indiana at Rupp Arena. Jalen Lowe looked more like Jalen Lowe. Mohamed Diabate came back, one of the great glue guys in all of college basketball. There were really good vibes. St. John's has made an adjustment, moved Ian Jackson into the starting lineup. The chemistry, the role allocation over the last week and a half for St. John's, and most importantly, the defense is the best that it's been this season for Rick Pitino's squad. But the winner of this game is going to take tremendous momentum into its final bye game. Kentucky has Bellarmine on the 23rd. St. John's has Harvard on the 23rd. It's going to take tremendous momentum into its final bye game, and then the conference play, which obviously starts as we get ready to turn the calendar year. Now, Mark Pope, the head coach of Kentucky, who was the captain for Rick Pitino on the 1996 national title team at Kentucky, will be on Inside College Basketball Now Friday morning as an exclusive guest. And we taped the interview before we started this live show. And he confirmed to us that Jaden Quaintance, the transfer from Arizona State, who I've talked about for a long time on this show in the offseason, a guy I think that could be in competition to be a National Defensive Player of the Year candidate if he's healthy, could make his debut this season for Kentucky on Saturday against St. John's in the CBS Sports Classic. Jaden Quaintance had an ACL injury earlier this year. Mark Pope obviously said he's going to go through the next couple of days of practice and then be in a situation where he will make a decision along with Kentucky's medical folks whether or not Quaintance will play. The bottom line is this. If Jaden Quaintance plays on Saturday, it is going to drastically change what Kentucky looks like on the defensive side of the floor. And beyond that, even if Jaden Quaintance doesn't play on Saturday and he gets back soon, Kentucky is going to have a completely different look defensively with him and Mohamed Diabate now coming back healthy. And the winner of this game between St. John's and Kentucky is going to have a victory on its resume that will travel all the way to Selection Sunday. Because you have to remember how the quadrant system works. A quad one win is something that ultimately moves the needle the most in the eyes of the selection committee. So you want to get as many quad one wins as you can. Now, what does that mean? The net ratings, which are updated every single day, measure quad one wins like this. If you beat a team on your home court that's ranked in the top 30 of the net, that's a quad one win. If you beat a team on a neutral court that's ranked in the top 50 of the net, that's a quad one win. And if you beat a team on the road, in a true road game, that's in the top 75 of the net, that's a quad one win. This is going to be a quad one opportunity for both Kentucky and for St. John's. Kentucky's best win so far this season was at home against Indiana. St. John's best win so far this season in terms of beating a potential NCAA tournament team was in Las Vegas against Baylor. St. John's and Kentucky both have an opportunity to get their best win of the season Saturday afternoon in the CBS Sports Classic, Rick Pitino against Mark Pope. I will say this. I still have reservations about Kentucky's ability to be a better shooting team. I haven't seen that yet. Mark Pope will get more into that on Friday morning when we interviewed him. But with that said, I think you have to look really, really now at this game, Kentucky against St. John's. On Friday, I'm going to project 9 teams from the SEC to be in the NCAA tournament. I'm going to project 3 from the Big East. UConn, St. John's, and Seton Hall, as of today. And again, Shaheen Holloway is doing as good a job this season with his team as any power conference coach is doing in America. But there's a lot of season left. And Seton Hall has to prove, starting Friday night at Providence against a very dangerous team, that it's going to be able to sustain this throughout the course of a season. And what I mean by that is this. St. John's has an opportunity now to get a quad one victory, and it may not get many quad one opportunities in the Big East unless things drastically change within the conference, which I don't see happening in the next 7 to 10 days, unless we see this weekend all of a sudden, Villanova beats Wisconsin on Friday night and they jump up in the net ranking, something like that. This game means more for St. John's than it does Kentucky because St. John's plays in the Big East and Kentucky plays in the SEC. 9 teams projected on Friday by me out of the SEC and the NCAA tournament, 3 from the Big East. You do the math. Now, as far as the game itself, Kentucky is going to have an obvious advantage at point guard with Jalen Lowe. St. John still has Ian Jackson finding his way, although he's put together several good games in a row. Dylan Darling had a nice game off the bench, but it looks like, he's best used as a backup. And then we're going to see these two front lines, Mitchell, Hopkins, Ejiofor, go up against potentially Diabate, Quaintance, Moreno. It is a made-for-TV game Saturday on CBS. But the game, ultimately, at the end of the day, is more valuable for St. John's because Kentucky is going to have a Pez dispenser of quad one opportunities when it gets into the SEC.